gotta put these buddies away. Gotta put them in the pen. Snaggle, you gotta go in the pen. I'm doing a video. I can't have you interrupting it. You too, Grey Cat. Both of you gotta go away for a minute. Alright, so welcome to this video on the Sword and Shield backstep maneuver. I wanted to just take a little bit of the larger body of what is the Sword and Shield and everything that it involves, and so this is not a basic tutorial on the Sword and Shield. It's just gonna hone in on the backstep and do a breakdown there. So I will jump right into it, and hopefully if you're wanting to deepen your knowledge of the backstep or just kind of get a good feel for everything that's involved with it, then this will benefit you. So first I'm just going to start with what it is. So the backstep is just a hop back that you can do in a couple different situations, but what it does is you retreat from wherever you're standing, and depending on what you input, it will follow up with a few different things. So it will not stop with the retreat. There's always going to be one more action. So it could be that rising slash there, and I'll go over how all these happen. It could be an advancing slash. It could also be a charge. But the backstep commits you to that follow-up action. So that's kind of the basic understanding of what it is. It's almost like a dodge, except that you are committing to a follow-up action, and it's snappier than a dodge if you want to attack after making some evasive maneuver. And just like a dodge, it has a little bit of invincibility, so generally it's centered on the hop itself. I don't know the exact orders of when the invincibility begins and ends. It's kind of something I'm still getting a feel for, but during that hop, you do have some invincibility, so even if you don't escape the line of fire, you could still manage to avoid getting hit if you dodge at the right time, or if you backstep at the right time. So you'll understand a bit more if you're not familiar with it as I explain how to use it, but that's just a general idea of what it is. So as a rule, you can backstep from any action, any attack action that you commit. So any attack can go into a backstep. At any point, you can do 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks. You can always backstep out of an attack or out of a combo at any point during that combo. Two things to note with that. It does have a moment when you want to be pressing it, and sometimes it's easier to pull off than others, but you'll want to familiarize yourself with your moveset and backstepping out of the different moves and just getting comfortable and confident for when you need to press the backstep. So something quick like a chop, I can backstep basically as soon as I'm done doing the input for the chop. But if I'm doing something that has more end lag in the animation, like a falling bash, I have to wait a moment and make sure that I'm not hitting it too soon, or I may miss the input and end up doing something else. I may press it too soon, and then when I realize that and I press it again, it's too late. So keep that in mind. That in general, it can be initiated from any attack, and you want to make sure you understand when to press it based on the attack you're doing. So how do you initiate it? Well, during any attack, you hold back on the stick, the left thumbstick, and you hold the A button. So pressing A and holding back at the same time will begin a backstep. Now, one thing to note, when I say holding back, I mean from the direction that the character is facing. So the character is facing away from me, which means I'm pulling the stick toward me. But if the character is facing to the left, I'm going to pull to the right in order to backstep. So you're pulling in the direction opposite the character is facing and pressing A. Back plus A. Back plus A. You can even do it repeatedly, kind of into itself. So that is the input that you need to initiate it. after any attack. Following any attack, hold back plus A away from the direction the character is facing. Now, there is one other moment that you can initiate it, and that is during a dodge roll. So if you are rolling, you just have to press A before you finish the dodge roll, and it will auto go into a backstep. So it's slightly different. Normally, you're holding back and pressing A, whereas during a dodge, if you just hit A, you'll begin a backstep. A couple things to note here: you have to have your weapon unsheathed. If your weapon is put away and you press A while you're rolling, you just won't do anything. So you have to have your weapon out. Do a dodge roll, press A. Now, something that's useful with this, once you get comfortable with the timing on pressing A during a dodge roll, you can learn to directionally influence the backstep. So regardless of the direction that you dodge, if you input a direction when you press A, you will orient yourself toward that direction, which is to say, you will end up striking that way. So if the monster's to my right and I want to backstep, strike the monster after a roll, I'm going to hold right, and then I'll backstep and advance towards them. So even if I'm dodging left, I can reorient myself back towards the monster, and it's really useful. I'm still learning to incorporate that more in typical combat, but it seems like a powerful technique to use if you are dodging and you want to, if you have your weapon out, of course, and you're dodging and you want to get your next attack geared up, and you're going to want to close some space or launch up. So again, how do we initiate it? From any attack, holding back an A, or from an unsheathed dodge roll, pressing A during the roll, which can also be directionally influenced by adding a directional input when you press A. So that takes a little bit of timing. It took some time for me to do something where I would roll in one direction and input a different one. But I generally, when I'm doing it that way, as soon as I finish pressing the roll button, I will just hold A and over towards where I want to go, and it works pretty consistently. So sharpen up a bit here. Alright, so now that we know how to initiate it, I'm going to talk a little bit about your options from the backstep. So there are 4 things you can do from a backstep. So we're just going to talk about coming into a backstep from an attack here for the sake of this discussion, but it all applies for when you're dodge rolling as well. If I do a backstep and I continue to hold both inputs, I begin to charge. So if you do a backstep and you just don't let go, you'll pause there and you'll begin to charge. And while you're charging, you'll notice a flash right there. You can let go from that point and you'll do your charge slash. And that's a jumping forward. If you connect, you'll do a scaling slash up into the air. And from there you can press X, which will do a lighter jumping slash. Or from there you can hit A. So going up, hit A. You'll do a stronger falling bash with your shield. So those are the 2 options. If you connect from a charge slash, that scaling slash is all automatic. If you don't connect, you won't leap up afterward. You'll just finish down on the ground like that. But you hold down A and back, you let go, you'll do a charge slash. And if that connects, it will auto do a scaling slash like that, down, up. And after that, you can press either X, and you'll do a jumping slash, or A for a falling bash. Now, if you hold back an A and you let go of the A button, but keep holding back, you'll just do a rising slash. So instead of continuing to hold both buttons, you let go of the A, and you do a rising slash standing in place. This is all about reading the monster and what makes sense at the point of time. If they're stepping forward and you want to catch them like that, and the positioning wouldn't make sense if you jump forward, like if you're going to go into an attack or whatever it might be. The backstep gives you options to read the moment, and it's flexible in that way. So keep holding back, and you'll do a rising slash. Let go of A, but keep holding back. There's a rising slash, and from there you just... I waited a minute, but from there you can combo into whatever moves you want, and then you could do another backstep rising slash combo, etc. Now, if I just let go of everything, I quickly jump forward. So it's sort of like the action of the charging slash, except without the launching you into the air, and it happens more quickly. So I do my backstep and I just let go. I'm auto advancing slash. Alright, so those are 3 of the 4 options you have. And I'm just going to talk about one more thing before I talk about the last option. When you are going to do anything but the rising slash, you'll be jumping forward. So whether it's letting go and advancing, or whether it is holding for a charge, you're jumping forward, right? While you are in that timing window of having hopped back before you go forward, you can influence the direction that you go, left or right. So rising slash is the only one you just keep holding back and you can't directionally influence. The other one, if you keep holding A and you hold to the left, you'll jump to the left with your charge slash. Or you hold to the right, you'll influence it more to the right. So it gives you a little bit of room to line up that charging slash or jumping slash if it's a little bit off and the monster isn't directly in front of you. To the left a little bit, there you go. So yeah, I should say with the charge slash, you don't have to continue to hold back, you can just hold A. So you can think of charging as holding A, and rising slash as holding L, and advancing slash is just letting both go. Alright, so one other option that you have is perfect rush. So from the backstep, when I land right there, if I let go like I would for an advancing slash, so get comfortable with advancing slash and how you would do that. Before I hop forward, when I do that back land, if I hit the X button, instead of doing an advancing slash, I will switch into perfect rush. Just like that. And I don't want to cover perfect rush in this because I want to keep it focused on the backstep, but that is another option. That one's especially useful if you have a big window where you are going to want to do a ton of damage after that backstep and just get as much damage in as short a possible time as you can. And just like with the advancing slash, the perfect rush has a little bit of directional influence. So you can come back, oh, I'm doing the wrong thing here. You can come back perfect rush a little bit to the left, or you can perfect rush a little bit to the right. So it has that directional influence just like the other two. That's, in a nutshell, everything that is involved with the backstep. There's a couple other things I want to point out. One is that there is a single exception as far as I can tell where you cannot backstep after an attack, and that is the windmill. Whoops. The windmill silkbind attack. Maybe I am just not getting the timing right, but I haven't been able to do a step back from that move, so or backstep from that move. So just as a heads up, that seems to be the one move in your arsenal that you cannot backstep from. Just about everything else, you're good to go. I think that was everything. I just want to also remind and kind of demonstrate the backstep has some level of commitment. So if you are trying to dodge and you want to be in the safest position to then make another evasive maneuver, so you want to dodge and then falling shadow far away or whatever you want to do, dodging is going to be better for that safety because backstep commits you to one more action. Just think of it that way. It's an advancing slash, a rising slash, you know, it's a perfect rush, or it's your fourth option of charging, but you are committed to one of those actions. So if I try to dodge, I can't do it until I've done that next step. So just a thing to keep in mind there, you're going to commit your action before you can then dodge. And one last note on the charging slash before I wrap this up. It does not change the damage output if you hold for a longer charge, and it will eventually just auto go into the charge slash. So you have to wait till that first flash or the rumble you can feel in your controller if you have that, until it will be good to go. And from that point on, you're going to do the same action, and it's going to auto do it if you hold it past a certain amount of time. So that period of the first flash to auto advancing is just a narrow bit of time where you can influence how quickly you come back in after the charge. And yeah, so that's about everything to do with the backstep. If there's anything that I left out here, let me know. There's some tech I've seen out there that's also, it's not kind of an obvious thing. When I say after any attack you can backstep, guarding, which is not an attack, it's more of a action with your weapon drawn, that can also go into backstep. So if you're very quickly trying to go into perfect rush, although I don't think it saves you a ton of time, if you want to do a chop and go into it. But anyways, you can just guard and go into it. So if you hit CR and then, go into your backstep. It takes a little bit of practice to make sure you get that timing, and I would not do it until you're consistent with it, but you can backstep out of that. So if you wanted to just come up and backstep into a perfect rush, you can do that. That about sums it up. And you can continually backstep if you wanted to play that game. I don't know where that would come in handy necessarily, but that is an option too. Great, well, hope this was helpful. If you have any other bits of information, you can comment below and let me know. If you think I misexplained something, please let me know. I'm curious to find out any extra hidden details with the backstep that might have been left out. The game's only been out for about 2.5 weeks, and this is actually my first Monster Hunter game, but I've been focused and dedicated to the Sword and Shield, and I think the backstep is a core mechanic to it. It's really useful for being an option to evade out of an attack and then be quickly back at it, attacking more, and also to connect your combos when you get to the end of one backstep. It gives you a lot of, options too, with the charge or the quick back into advancing slash, or more of an emergency situation where you rising slash if you need to avoid going head first into an attack or the monster advances. So that is the backstep.